Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get to the heart of complex ideas. Today, we're tackling something fundamental, really. It's this timeless human struggle, figuring out right from wrong, how we create order, basically how we keep our moral compass pointing true. It's a quest that's, it's been shaping societies forever, and our focus is this really profound Arabic phrase, sonyen, take sonyen, somyen. Now that translates often as enjoining good and forbidding evil. But if you're thinking that sounds purely religious, maybe a bit ceremonial, well, our source today offers a really fascinating, much broader perspective. It suggests this is actually a super versatile, deeply ethical framework for, honestly, almost every part of life. So our mission in this deep dive is to pull out the surprising and practical insights from the material we've got. We want to show you how this ancient idea is still incredibly relevant, how it adapts to faith, sure, but also to our everyday worldly stuff, and even the health of our societies. Think of it like a shortcut, maybe, to understanding a really dynamic ethical guide.
It's definitely not static. The source we're digging into is called Excerpts from Kalish Telling Ishalvan. And it really does a great job of unpacking this concept for today, kind of peeling back those narrower interpretations. Okay, so the text jumps right in. It reminds us that basically since day one, humanity's been sort of wavering between two paths. One path preserves order, helps life flourish. The other, that leads to chaos, corruption, and divine law, as the source says, came in to help keep that balance. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Quran embeds this core principle, enjoining good, forbidding evil. And the source is really clear. This isn't just about faith or institutions, is it? It's way bigger.
Absolutely. Yeah, the source really hammers this home. It's not some confined religious rule. It's presented more as a universal framework, something that structures people's lives in their faith and their daily worldly affairs and what they say, what they do. And crucially, across different times, different cultures, it's much, much more encompassing, more adaptable than people often perceive it. And if you look at the bigger picture, it suggests this powerful, always relevant code for societal health and, personal conduct.
Right. And to really get it, the source says, look at the Arabic words themselves. So, amor, that's defined as actively insisting on something, pushing for it. And hay or nahi is the opposite, insisting on abandoning something, discouraging it. So you've got this active push and pull. How does that apply then to maruf and munkar, the good and the evil?
Well, when you pair amr, that insistence, with maruf, which is the good, the source suggests it's about actively promoting, upholding what's seen as beneficial, what's constructive in a community. It's an insistence on nurturing the positive. And conversely, nahi, the discouraging part, paired with munkar, the evil. That means actively working against preventing what's seen as alien or harmful, anything detrimental to that recognized good, anything that disrupts peace and order. It's about staying vigilant against corruption, against wrongdoing.
Okay, so let's dive into al-maruf then. What is this good we're supposed to be enjoining? The source describes it as, what's known, what's famous among people as being good, something affirmed by divine law, but also accepted by reason and customary in society at that specific time. What jumps out at me immediately is that it's not presented as some fixed list. It feels dynamic.
That's such a critical insight. Yes, the source is explicit. The specific ways al-maruf shows up, they change. They change with time, with customs. But the genius, really, is that while the expressions evolve, what counts as good, practice the core essence. Things like justice, mercy, kindness, that stays constant, and this built-in adaptability, that's crucial for why it's still such a relevant ethical compass, thousands of years later.
Makes sense. And the text gives Quranic examples to show this, right?
Yeah.
Like in Surah al-Baqarah, which deals a lot with social rules regarding settlements after retribution. Al-Maruf means basically following the agreed-upon custom of the time to settle things fairly. And again, in al-Baqarah, about making a will, it says the will should be according to prevailing custom. How does this reliance on custom show its flexibility? It's not just legal text, is it?
No, exactly. It shows how al-Maruf connects directly to the real world, the material and social facts of any era. The source uses a great example. Centuries back, a will might list assets like horses or camels, maybe specific fields. Today, that same principle of fair distribution, guided by what's customary and reasonable, applies to, cars, stock portfolios, maybe even digital assets. The ethical principle, fairness, provision, it's the same. But how you apply it, that adapts. And that makes you wonder, doesn't it? How do these evolving customs shape even our, everyday moral duties?
Yeah, that's a really good point. There's another example the source uses also from al-Baqarah. It talks about a father's duty to provide for his ex-wife while she's raising their child's sustenance and clothing. And it specifically says this should be bal maruf according to what's known or customary. So how does that duty and what counts as known change?
Well, the source makes it really clear. What counts as proper sustenance and clothing? It totally depends on the customs, the expectations of that society at that time. So, in the past, it might have been basic, some livestock, simple clothes. Today, al-Maruf in that situation could mean a financial salary, maybe covering health insurance, different kinds of modern clothing. It's about providing what society then and there sees as appropriate, as decent, as equitable for that family in their specific context. This dynamic approach keeps the ethical rule fair. It stops it from becoming some outdated, irrelevant burden.
And it's not just about money or legal stuff,
Yes.
right? The source also points to that verse in Al-Baqarah saying, a kind word and forgiveness are better than charity followed by harm. So al-Maruf, the good, can actually just be a kind word, an act of compassion. That really broadens it, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. And that's where you see its holistic nature. It means al-Maruf covers all kinds of goodness, from material stuff and legal fairness right through to intangible things, kindness, respect, empathy, forgiveness. The source also mentions spouses treating each other with ma'ruf, or a guardian handling an orphan's property by la-ma'ruf, always guided by custom, by what's fair and just. It's really about upholding human dignity in every interaction. Makes it a very comprehensive ethical guide.
Okay, so let's flip the coin now to al-Munkar.
Okay.
The source explains its root, meaning implies something strange, unfamiliar, something outside what's known and approved by divine law, and importantly, by sound reason. It's like an anomaly. And it clarifies, munkar can appear in beliefs, words, actions, even relationships. So it's not just bad in a simple sense, but a deviation from what's expected, from the accepted good.
Yeah, that nuance is really important. Al-Munkar isn't just framed as evil, but as something alien, something rejected by the natural order, by reason, by divine guidance. It's seen as a disruption, something that throws things off balance. So given that broad definition, how far does this concept actually reach? How widely does it apply?
Well, the source gives some pretty stark examples. In Surah Al-Araf, which talks about accountability, munkar is the totally outrageous claim that God commands indecency. That's described as a strange and unacceptable statement, truly alien to divine character. Or in Surah Al-Mujadila, dealing with social issues, it's a man saying his wife is like his mother again, called a strange and unacceptable statement that tries to make permissible what's forbidden. So those are clearly about beliefs, about words, but al-Munkar definitely goes into actions too, right? Not just personal ones either.
Oh, absolutely. Its scope is much, much wider. The source points to Surah Al-Ma'idah in a part discussing moral decline, where it describes the Israelites not forbidding the corruption they'd gotten used to. That shows al-Munkar as a societal failure, a collective inaction, where wrongdoing becomes normalized, even though it's fundamentally against the truth. The source even mentions Joseph's brothers not recognizing him in Surah Yusuf, a story full of trials. Their ignorance, their unknowing of the real situation is called a form of munkar. It led to an unnatural, wrong state of affairs. It just shows how broad the concept can be.
Right. And this is where the text makes a really crucial connection for everyday life. It explicitly states al-Munkar isn't just about worship or purely religious no-nos. It spreads into all parts of life. It lists really practical things. Cheating in business, taking people's money unfairly, betraying trust, littering, oppressing the poor, even violating laws that keep society running smoothly. What does that broader application mean for us, like as citizens? What are our ethical duties there?
Well, this goes right to the heart of the social contract, doesn't it? The source links this directly to that verse in Surah Al-Nisa about obeying God, the messenger, and those in authority.
Right.
And it clarifies. Violating decisions made by legitimate authorities for the public good, assuming they don't contradict divine law, of course that's considered a form of munkar. Why? Because it's a deviation from the familiar accepted order that maintains society. It's about upholding coherence, stability, collective welfare. When we disregard those kinds of laws, we're acting in a way that's alien to the established good.
Yeah.
We're sowing discord, undermining the ethical fabric.
That really brings it home. And the source then pushes it even further, showing how al-Munkar pops up in new, modern ways, adapting to our complex world. It lists things like economic manipulation, unfair price hikes, spreading rumors and fake news in the media, polluting the environment, even everyday stuff like running red lights or trucks ignoring weight limits. That's incredibly practical, very relatable.
It really is, and it underlines just how adaptable this concept is. All these modern examples, they're seen as munkar because Fundamentally, they're alien to our pursuit of justice and well-being. They're rejected by sound reason. They go against divine principles that call for order and fairness. So whether it's, online misinformation eroding trust, or a company rigging the market, or a simple traffic violation endangering people, the core principle holds. Actions that undermine justice, order, collective well-being, societal harmony, they're forms of munkar. They violate the spirit of al-Ma'ruf.
Wow. Okay, so boiling it all down, what does this mean for us? This deep dive, it seems to show that enjoining good and forbidding evil is, well, it's anything but a rigid, dusty old rule. It's alive. It's a breathing ethical principle. We've seen al-Ma'ruf. The good isn't some fixed list, but this dynamic understanding rooted in timeless values like justice and kindness, but always adapting. And al-Munkar, the evil, isn't just huge sins, but anything that deviates from that. Recognize good, belief, word, action, even our daily social habits, anything that ultimately disrupts harmony.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really powerful concluding thought from the source. It says, quite starkly, al-Ma'ruf is the soul of society, and al-Munkar is its poison. It really stresses that if al-Ma'ruf fades, if it's neglected, then al-Munkar inevitably spreads, and that leads to chaos, to disorder. It's such a potent metaphor for, societal health, stability. So the whole concept, really, it breaks free from narrow interpretations. It acts as this vital bridge, linking timeless guidance to our contemporary ethical lives, and ultimately it's about securing our collective peace, justice, dignity in a world that's always changing. It's a call for us to be ethically engaged, right? Not just bystanders.
Definitely. So as we wrap up, here's something to chew on, a final provocative thought for you, the listener. If al-Ma'ruf is essentially about what society accepts as good, shaped by reason, tradition, divine law, and we know its specific forms change over time. Think ancient inheritance customs versus modern traffic laws. What known good in your daily life, maybe in your workplace or your community, what Ma'ruf might be subtly eroding right now, perhaps becoming less customary, less valued. And on the flip side, what unfamiliar evil, what munkar, might be slowly, quietly creeping into acceptance. Becoming normalized, maybe, without us even realizing its corrosive effect on our collective well-being.
It really pushes us to be vigilant, doesn't it? To be critically aware, not just about the big things, but the seemingly small choices, the everyday interactions.
Yeah.
Because those are what collectively weave the ethical fabric of our world. It prompts you to ask yourself, how can I actively contribute? How can I uphold the Ma'ruf and, gently curb the munkar in my own sphere, whatever that might be? How can I help keep the soul of my community vibrant and healthy?